All right, we are now streaming live. Another end of the day here at Ward Wrestling Live, and it's our 4 o'clock hour. And we got an amazing wrestler for you. 5-time. He's behind him. You can't see him.
Right. Let me move.
Yeah. He's 5-time world medalist, 2-time world champ, 1994 University National Champ runner-up, and 1989 Indiana State Champ. And he's with us today, Big George Porter. What's up, Coach? How are you, man? How's everything going?
Well. I'm doing well. How about yourself? Thank you.
Good, man. Hanging in here, doing a couple of these a day, and having a good time, man. What does wrestling look like in your world through this off season?
It is slow motion right now. The mats are quiet. Hoping to start rolling around here soon, but it's been a rough 3 months not being on a hot, sweaty mat someplace.
Yeah, it looks like hopefully I'm kind of on the edge here. It seems like we were coming through the other side of this, but now it seems like things are spiking, so we're not sure what's going on. I'm hoping we can find some way to slow this down so life can get back to normal.
I agree, or somewhat normal. Yeah,
man. So I know these days they've got you working at the house and traveling and doing some things. So you were an Indiana guy, Indiana State champ. You went off to IU, right?
Yeah. So I'm originally from Chicago. So just understanding that Northwest Indiana and the South side of Chicago are basically like 5 exits away from one another. So when I was younger, my family moved us over to Northwest Indiana. So definitely have roots in Northern Indiana.
Cool. So you decide to go become a Hoosier.
Yep, absolutely.
So now George Porter is the most famous Hoosier instead of Larry Bird was at Indiana State. Who's the guy that threw the chairs?
Bobby Knight.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Bobby Knight will always be number one. I'm somewhere down in like the triple digits.
Wow. So we were talking off the air, man. You had some type of team back then, man. Talk about your days in college. I think there's someone you wrestled with that we probably know well. And
So I back in 92, I walked on to Indiana and was welcomed there by Dwayne Goldman, who was the head coach at the time, and Jason Kelber. And there were, the guys were very welcoming. There were a couple of guys from my area, Jeff George and Andy Trevino, both really, really good friends of mine. And Mike Palazzo was there as well. And Mike, at the time, I think Mike was one of the team captains. And just, you would just kind of just take a step back and just like watch these guys wrestle and watch the way that they practice. And also we were discussing my first year there. Tom Ryan was our grad assistant. So he had just taken third his senior year at the NCAAs, and Dwayne Goldman, having his Iowa connections, was able to get Tom to come over and to be our grad assistant.
Oh, how cool is that? Hey, Big Chuck Morris. Yo, that's the champ right there. What's up, George?
Speaking of Matt, what's up, Chuck? Speaking of Matt, that guy has an awesome facility in Georgia. I visited there a couple of times. Very welcoming. Chuck has got something going on over there. You get a chance just to go in and just peek your head into his facility, and the kids rolling around and the veterans wrestling in there and stuff. He's really got Georgia in that Atlanta area. He's got something special going on over there.
Yeah, well, I had him on at the beginning of the week, and I'm telling you what, he gets fired up, man. I was ready to jump in through the TV and teach me how to wrestle, coach. Teach me how to wrestle.
When I see his promos, I gotta turn the volume down because he's on something over there.
Oh, he's wild, man. So
yeah, he is.
So Palazzo was a little rock, huh?
Oh man, just hard hand fighting, in your face. Just a tough attitude. But when practice was cooling down and guys are just kind of sitting up against the wall talking and everything, just the easiest person you could just go up to and start having a conversation with. Mike was always good to me.
That's awesome. Yeah, he's built something amazing up here in Central Florida. So
yes, he has. Yes, he has.
Good for him. Wish him luck as he goes off into the prep national world.
Mm-hmm.
So Eric Cluck, what's up, George and Charlie?
Cluck.
There, man.
Yeah, he and I were just messaging one another the other day. So wrestling in this veterans league that I'm wrestling in, you make a lot of good friendships and a lot of good connections, and so you have time and opportunities to connect with guys offline outside of wrestling. So it's really opened up a whole nother world for me, which it's been an awesome experience.
Man, that's great. So speaking of that, tell us about your career. We talked a little bit about college, and then after college, you've really took the world by storm.
Well, it was more of a brief shower. Let's put it that way. So no, I when I left college, I went to Minnesota. I really went up there for job opportunities and found the club up there, Minnesota Storm. And got to know the guys on the team. Got to know Jay, Joe Russell, who was an assistant coach up there at the time, is still I'm really good friends. Actually, I'm his son's godfather.
Nice.
So really got to know those guys. Got to know the Short family, especially Mr. Short and his son Chris and Willie. Got to know them. Got to know the Morgan brothers, Marty Morgan, and all the Morgan brothers there. I just got really good training there. Was able to break onto the ladder in freestyle. Dan Chandler was our coach, and you won't find any better Greco coach that's in the world than a Dan Chandler. So Minnesota was good. I was there for about 10 years. Got into coaching up there as well. Coached at a little college up there called Augsburg College. So in the D3 world, it's Augsburg, it's Wartburg, and then it's just kind of everybody else.
I like it, man. So I saw there was kind of it looked like you hit the world scene like early 2000s, and then there was kind of, it looked like a break there, and then you hit it back again in the teens. Were you coaching all those years? Were you still wrestling, or?
No, I wasn't. Not all those years. I had actually retired in 2005. I had a son that I lost to leukemia, and that was hard. That was really hard. At the time, I was 34. And it was just time to go on with some other life things. So I pursued my career, just tried to, just kind of build myself up professionally. Then when I got to California in 2007, I was sitting around and I was bored. I was just absolutely bored. And as a matter of fact, Joe Russell told me to reach out to the head coach at Cal State Fullerton. And I reached out to the head coach there, and he said, "Yeah, I've heard of Augsburg. Yeah, I need a heavyweight coach. Why don't you come on in?" So I literally would drive from LA to Cal State Fullerton about 2-3 days a week to help out coaching there.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I did that for about 3 years, and it was great. It was a great experience. I appreciated everybody there. Then about 2010, it was time to take my career to another level. So I left at that point just to pursue some other career opportunities.
Well, first of all, sorry about your son.
No problem. Thank you.
And second of all, glad that amazing. I'm sure being a wrestler and being around wrestling helped you get through those tough times, and being on the mat is like an athlete between the lines, kind of shut
Yeah,
down. So um, good for you and your family, and you're back, getting back on your feet. I know I have two children, and you know, for anyone to
I
say
know.
I get it or I understand would be not fair, because they don't
I
get
know.
it, they don't
Yep.
understand it unless they lost them. So um, anyway, on a brighter note, so you got back into it in 2010, and you went back off, and you wrestled for your country, the good old USA. You had that singlet on. You were traveling the world. Man, what did it mean to you? I like to ask USA athletes, because I know that um, wrestling for your school is one thing, and then wrestling for your college, but to get that USA on your back and go to other countries has got to be pretty dope.
Yeah, um, I didn't, I didn't realize how special it was from the standpoint of, because you're an American and because you're representing the USA, it kind of puts a target on you a little bit, because we are considered one of the better countries in the world when it comes to the sport of wrestling, especially freestyle. So you have to prepare for that. And unless you have people around you that speak to that and help prepare you for that, you don't know. So, sometimes you walk in a bit unprepared and you have to get kind of what's called baptism by fire when you're out there on the mat. And sometimes it works out for you and sometimes it doesn't. So the more I have competed overseas, the more now I know how to prepare myself for those encounters when I go out to compete.
Hey, I've been, I've always wanted to ask. I've had different guys that travel the world and girls that travel the world. I don't know why
Mhm.
I've never asked this question, but what what do you see? uh, is wrestling all around the world, or do you see in some countries uh, it's different, or they have a niche, or they do things that we don't do in America? Like if you go to a Russia and Iran and India, is it done differently? Are they practiced? Like in football, someone does the shotgun, someone does the regular thing, right? Like, do they have
Mhm.
different? Am I making sense, or am I just talking?
Yeah. No, like some things are universal, single legs and different things of that nature. Some people, not to get real technical, but in the US, we're taught to, let's say I'm shooting a single, where we're taught to do a sweep or a penetrating step or something like that, where the Europeans do more of an outside step when it comes to those kind of things. And so, you're just kind of watching, how they execute their technique, as well as some of the tactics. Some guys will inflict pain on you so that they can take a break. So it's not uncommon for somebody to get tired and then I accidentally poke you in the eye, and I'm probably the king of receiving eye pokes, so that the other person could take a break.
Oh,
So some of those tactics, but you get out there against some tough guys, and from certain countries, and it's just a good, clean, hard fought match, and whoever is the winner comes out on top.
nice. So are you focused more now on coaching, or are you still competing in the veterans?
Um, I'm still competing in the veterans. Right now, which I kind of knew it was going to happen, but we just officially got word yesterday that the veteran worlds are going to be canceled. So, with everything that's going on, it's kind of a bummer. But I'm just one of those because of my profession. I've been doing safety now for about 25 years, so I understand taking precautions and preventative measures and doing what's best for folks, even though they don't want to. So me personally, I have no problem with the precautions that they're taking. It just allows me to, work on my conditioning a little bit more and, help out some other people where I can, whether it's at a high school, whether it's in an MMA gym. Again, it just allows me to get better as a person.
That's awesome. Now you mentioned MMA gym there. I know that talking to you before we got on the air, there's someone that's pretty special to you that is the reason why you spend a lot of time in Florida.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be on your show right now, and I probably wouldn't have those 5 medals if Steve Macho and I hadn't had a chance meeting. So I was coaching at a school in South Florida called Coral Springs Charter, and lo and behold, here comes Steve Macho walking into the gym. And one of the kids was like, "Oh, there's Coach Macho." And I was like, "You know him?" He says, "Yeah, he coaches over at ATT and blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Okay, if he's over there, I got to get over there." So, we met, struck up a conversation, and he was like, "Yeah, come on by the gym. Here's when we practice, so forth and whatnot." And it was like, okay. And so I walk in there, and, he introduces me to the guys. And I mean, I'm meeting, Junior Dos Santos. I'm meeting Dustin Poirier. I'm meeting, all these guys that, you're hearing about now, and, getting a chance to roll around with them and help out with some stuff with them. Then I look over and I see this ugly guy over in the corner that I recognize named Mohammed Luwal. And I'll tell you why I'm talking bad about him in just a minute. And Mo and I had actually met each other just as he was coming out of college. And we struck up a friendship, and I looked and we started talking, and I'm like, what are you doing down here? And he pointed to Steve, and he says, "Man, Steve called me, told me that he's coaching at this gym." And I came down, and, he came down and says, "This is where I'm going to finish my career training at." And so I had a chance to work with both Mo and Steve. And so again, like I said, that is why I'm sitting on your show here today, because they helped take my success to a whole nother level.
Well, that's awesome. And it just speaks to why I fell in love with this sport over the last couple of years. I mean, everybody's just seems to look out for everybody. So
yeah. So I'm gonna tell you why I talk about Mo so bad. So my first world title that I won, Steve and Mo both worked with me, and Steve just really, from a technical standpoint and a work ethic standpoint, just really helped me go to another level. And when I came home, had the medals, was happy, and everything was great. Mo helped me train for the second world title I won. And before I leave, he tells me, "You don't come back here without the gold medals." So he threatened me, and I'm out there, and I'm like, I can't go home unless I win.
Well, you did your job, huh?
I did my job. Yep, absolutely.
That's awesome, man. So that's a good story, and it's great to hear. So I got some questions for you. Ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So them Gulf Coast beaches or the East Coast beaches?
They both got sharks, so it doesn't matter.
I like it. I think I know your answer here, being a Chicago kid. Thin crust or deep dish?
Deep dish.
When you're down in South Florida, you prefer Miami Beach or Lauderdale Beach?
I prefer Lauderdale Beach, and the reason why is because you can get everything in Lauderdale Beach that you can get in Miami Beach without the hustle and bustle. So yeah, all that congestion, and everything that goes on down in Miami. I'm getting a little older now, so I'm slowing down a little bit.
So you prefer hitting the go-karts or the mini golf?
Mini golf. It's so much more fun.
Judo or jiu-jitsu?
I hate them both. And the reason why judo, they keep kicking you in the ankle, and it's hard to take a shot when somebody's constantly kicking you in the ankle. And judo, you shoot in on a guy, and you're waking up 2 minutes later because they got you in some chokehold. So I absolutely hate both of them equally.
So you've won a couple of big-time medals in both of these styles. Which one do you prefer, freestyle or Greco?
there was a time where you couldn't pay me to wrestle Greco. And I absolutely hated it. And as a matter of fact, I got choked out in Greco. And me and the guy are actually really good friends. His name is Brent Clark. He lives in California. And yeah, I got choked out by him in like my first Greco match. But you know, I would say freestyle, but I'm noticing my success in Greco is growing. So I look forward to when I can win a gold medal in Greco. Nice. I came close last year. I was within a point of winning, so I came up a little short.
I had a guy on yesterday you can go spend some time with out in Colorado Springs, Betterman.
Oh man, that guy. Yeah.
Hey, so you prefer the fish and chips or the shrimp basket?
Shrimp basket.
Me too.
Yeah, shrimp basket. Yeah.
Now I'm kind of torn here: T-bone or ribeye?
That's a good one. I'm a T-bone guy.
You know, and this is the first time I've ever asked this, and I just thought about it as I was like, think of something new. You get the paper bag filled with the Chinese ribs, or you go to the barbecue house and get the baby bags?
Barbecue house.
The baby bag. I like the baby bags too.
See, being from Chicago, I thought you would give me a popcorn question.
I was close of going, you know, like movie popcorn or Chicago popcorn.
Oh, Chicago popcorn, movie popcorn, no.
Because I went to Chicago on vacation, I don't know, 5 years ago for the first time, and every corner was a popcorn joint. And when they mixed up that cheese and that caramel,
yep.
Ooh, boy. And now I've had some Pittsburgh guys on, right? So I've had to research Pittsburgh. I've never been to Pittsburgh. Well, they got that Pittsburgh popcorn out there, and it's called like where they mix like chocolate and caramel or something like that.
Yeah, so the two places in Chicago, one's called Garrett's and one's called Nuts on Clark.
Garrett's.
So yeah, so Garrett's is now kind of, see, my inner fat kid is talking now. So Garrett's is now playing with that chocolate, cheese, and caramel popcorn. I'm not quite sure how I like it yet, but when I go home, I got to make a stop to either Nuts on Clark or Garrett's, and I got to pick me up a bag.
Man, you know, I walked into Publix one day, and some company had a bag there, and I was trying it. It was
not the same.
It was all right, but it wasn't like getting it hot right there. The line waiting out the door.
Exactly.
Chicago was a real fun town.
Yes,
I should have asked you on your hot dog, ketchup or mustard?
Honestly, I don't eat hot dogs. I haven't eaten a hot dog in 35 years.
All right. I could have asked you, you make the beef wet or dry?
Wet.
You go with the brownie shake?
That's something new.
Brownie shake at, what's the famous beef place in downtown Chicago?
Portillo's?
Yeah, they have this brownie. They put the chocolate brownie and they make this, no, chocolate cake shake. I'm sorry.
I haven't heard of that one.
Oh, see?
I haven't
that
heard
guy
of that
to
one.
another.
I appreciate it. Actually, I'm going home next week. My brother's getting married, so I think my inner fat kid is going to be screaming while I'm at home.
I'm going to shoot you my address. You can send me a bag of popcorn.
There you go.
All right, man. Hey, man, this was great. I'm so happy I got to meet you. Chuck shouted you out. He said, thanks for the kind words. This guy, Monsantos Milfos, says savage. So that's cool. And I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you coming on and taking time to spend with me while you're out in DC. So
absolutely, man. You know, anytime you need a guest, just holler and we can talk about whatever. It's all good.
Yeah, man, and come up to Central Florida so we can get a beer.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely.
Maybe we can get Palazzo to go with us.
I don't think we have to try too hard with that guy.
All right, boss man, you take it easy, and it's an honor to speak with you.
My pleasure. I'm humble. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.